We serve approximately 17,500 students, each of whom is brilliant, beautiful, and brimming with promise. Over 100 different languages are spoken in our district. Roughly 75% of our students rely on us for their meals, which is significant, particularly during this pandemic time. We have much to be proud of in Highline. Over the last several months, watching this community come together and really step up to support one another, and especially our children, has been a wondrous thing to see. It's been very inspiring and very humbling. One of the responsibilities of leadership is when everyone around you is losing their head, you have to keep yours on tighter than ever. The deep sense of connection and care that I have for this community has forced me to pull myself out of those darker moments. We do have a lot to be proud of and hopeful here. A few weeks ago, we brought back roughly 100 students who really need some of that one-on-one instruction that they just can't get at home. Watching the teachers, the paraeducators, the nurses working with these students, the smiles on these kids' faces and the staff, frankly, they couldn't be hidden behind a mask. I mean, they were just over the moon to be there. I agonize daily over the fact that this lack of physical connection is taking a toll on children and adults alike. Relationships are key. School staff are recognizing how much they need families, and families are recognizing how much they need school staff. And we're seeing more natural, organic partnership and collaboration between teachers, counselors, principals, schools, families. We've really worked to develop a system where every student has a one-on-one adult connection who's checking in with them weekly to build that trust and relationship and make sure that no child is invisible. We've tried to do that over time, but never with this level of intention. This whole chapter in our lives has given the term personalized learning an entirely new meaning for adults and for students. Some of our teachers have thrived in this virtual learning environment. They are loving it. They're getting creative. They're doing amazing things. What if every student had an individualized education plan? That's something I think we've talked about as a pie in the sky idea. I don't know that it's so pie in the sky. And frankly, I think that we have been given in some ways a moral imperative to figure that out. You know, folks are now saying, well, we're going to come out of this and public education will never be the same. I'm not convinced that that's the case. There will be very powerful forces that will pull us back to the status quo. I think it's naive and dangerous, frankly, to just assume that this utopian transformation in public education is just going to happen because of this pandemic. It will only happen if we fight for it. What this has done is so massively daylighted the inequities, not just within our public schools, but within larger society. It's hard to see that the system doesn't work when it works for you. A colleague asked me yesterday, how's distance learning going? And I said, it's awful. What our students, our teachers and staff and leaders and families are doing to make this work is nothing short of heroic. Looking at a screen of dark squares rather than faces if kids don't want to turn their cameras on. I think at the start of the school year, people were pretty motivated. Now, people are tired. How can we strike that right balance around supporting our teachers while ensuring that teaching and learning still happens? Helping people balance their health and safety and well-being with the need to do their job well is really important. You have to focus on the people before you can focus on the work. Fortunately, I've had technology to help us remain connected. I think it has also reinforced the need for human interaction. Technology is the space where the inequities in our school systems and our society have been most significant. You can only use technology if you have it. A Chromebook or an iPad without reliable home internet is a paperweight or a place to play games. But now, it's a lifeline. Having that connectivity isn't just to connect with your learning, it's to connect with your community. When we did our original strategic plan, we developed this Highline promise to know every student by name, strength, and need so that they graduate prepared for the future they choose. I argue that that promise is a definition of a commitment to equity. Because if we could say that every child in our public schools was known by name, by strength, by need, and graduated, prepared for whatever path they chose for themselves without limitations imposed on them by adults, that would be delivering on the promise of public education. I have great faith in the resilience of our children and the fact that many of them are natural learners, but some children are going to come back having lost quite a bit, whether it's academic gains, whether it's social emotional development, whether it's social interaction ability. And we're going to have to figure out how we address that from an equity perspective in terms of how we allocate our resources at a time when we anticipate that our resources will be dwindling. I worry a little bit about a real exodus on the teaching force. I'm worried about an exodus at the superintendent level and even maybe principal level. We were going to have a responsibility as leaders in the chair now to continue to help tap and cultivate the next generation who right now may be a little wary of taking that next step, having seen what some have gone through. We need good, mission-driven, equity-focused leaders now more than ever before to see us through to the next chapter. You know, we are all on the same team. We're on Team Kid. And I hope that out of this, the general public understands that those of us who choose the superintendency do so out of a place of service and a desire to be a part of and invest in our community. And we're not the enemy, we're on the same team. And that one team scenario will be felt throughout each school building and across the district, that everyone will realize that we're in this together.